So championship of the weekend, the runaway winner, there was actually a runaway winner for both. You can go to 971theticket.com and see who won championship of the weekend. But the champ of the weekend, I will tell you, was the Indiana Hoosiers. And something occurred to me in thinking about Indiana. If you don't have a dog in the fight, a lot of people root for Indiana. They are a perennial loser. They were technically the losingest football team of all time. More losses than anybody else. They were never really a threat. And they've turned it around. Their head coach came in and said some things. He said some things at his opening press conference that got people's attention. He said some things that turned heads. They were like, really? Listen to this guy. And then he went out and he proved it. Did it on the field. And they're doing it. They're winning in the trenches. It's an attractive brand of football that they play. And people kind of like the Hoosiers now being good. It won't last forever. But in the here and the now, it feels as though Indiana, if you don't have a dog in the fight, people jump on board the Hoosiers. Root for the Hoosiers. A perennial loser has turned it around. And it occurred to me, that's who our Lions have been. In so many ways. A perennial loser, not a threat. Head coach gets hired, says some things about biting kneecaps. Everybody's talking about it. Led to some eye rolls, just like when Curt Cignetti said, I win, Google me. And when he said, Purdue sucks, so does Ohio State, so does Michigan. Like that led to some eye rolls. And then he went out and he built a winner. Just like Dan Campbell with the biting kneecaps. And he's gone out and he's built a winner. And now Indiana, like the Lions, a perennial loser that if you don't have a dog in the fight, you kind of can't help but root for him. So, that won't last forever. And it's not particularly important. It just kind of caught my attention that there are a lot of similarities between what Indiana is doing in the college football world and what the Lions have done in the NFL world. Now, eventually that wears off. You know what a team that lost forever is, and now they roll out of bed and win, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. When I was a kid and they won their first Super Bowl, I remember people talking about how happy they were for the Rooneys, all those years of losing, and now the Rooneys. And I'm like, okay, now the Steelers, all they do is win. Like they're talking about firing their coach. They're in a playoff spot again. And they're going to finish over 500 again, most likely. And look, that gets to the point where they're sick of them losing in the first round of the playoffs and all that. And I get it. I guess eventually everybody wears out his welcome. I don't think Mike Tomlin has forgotten how to coach. I think he's a great coach. It just might be over in Pittsburgh. It might have run its course. And eventually people stop rooting for you. I bring it up because I don't know if the Lions are going to carry this sort of out of Detroit cachet for very long. And I don't know if Indiana will either. But I do see some similarities between the Lions and the NFL and Indiana and college football. Okay, I mentioned this before the break. For the life of me, I can't figure out why we keep getting associated with this player. There's another report today from Shams Charania writing about Anthony Davis. And he writes, Anthony Davis of the Dallas Mavericks, another former NBA champion, is expected to be a critical trade target of several teams, including many of the East's top contenders. The Detroit Pistons, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Toronto Raptors are expected to be suitors for Davis, league sources told ESPN. Okay. Somebody help me out. Why would the Pistons want Anthony Davis? Why would the Pistons make a move for Anthony Davis? I'm willing to listen, to be open-minded to it. I mean, sometimes when you're a team that is trying to get over the top, you take a gamble, you roll the dice, say, all right, we will take on this in hopes of getting the best version of this and hope that we go against the grain here a little bit and take on this massive contract of an often injured player who just can't seem to stay healthy. And honestly, he's become a bit of a punchline. Now, that doesn't mean you don't trade for him because he's a bit of a punchline. But are the Pistons really in a position to make this kind of move, to take this kind of risk? Or are they just getting started and a move like this would undermine everything that they built? On top of that, how do you make the salaries match up? As he's owed an astronomical amount of money? Kang, help me out here. What is going on? Why are the Pistons associated with Anthony Davis?
I cannot help you out here because I don't want any part of Anthony Davis. Now, when healthy, this guy's a stud. Don't get me wrong. He is an absolute stud when healthy, but he's just not healthy anymore, especially of late. He started off the year hurt, out of shape with the Mavericks. He's come back to play now for a week or so. But with that being said, I don't think this is what the Pistons team needs. This is not the veteran. This is not the, he's going to be 33 in March before the season's over. This is not the right move. And I personally don't think this is a Trajan Langdon move from the few times we've gotten to talk to him and just outside looking in, what kind of demeanor and how intentional he is with his moves. I don't think this is the big splash if you were to make a big splash type of trade. Now, where is this coming from? Is this coming from Davis's camp? I cannot believe this would be coming from the Pistons camp. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I guess the only way it would make sense is they seem like they're one move away from being elite, I guess, even though they're no number one seed right now in the East. And that's why the Lowry Markkanen, trade rumors are out there and things like that. So maybe
makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, but maybe that's why a big name like Anthony Davis is thrown out there. But this could be the fact that the Pistons are good, they're relevant, and they'll be associated or linked to any big name that might be moved.
Maybe. And if this is coming from, an agent, all right, trying to drum up interest, or a Dallas source trying to drum up interest, then this is easy to dismiss. But if this is coming from a Detroit source, has any merit to it, I am absolutely perplexed. And would be shocked to go get a guy who's always hurt and is owed $54 million this year, $58 the year after. And then he's got is it a player option? Hold on.
Yeah, he's got a player option, I believe, that he can decline. Yeah. But it's like a $62 million.
He's not going to decline that.
No, I don't. Have the Mavericks tried shopping him to the Lakers for Luka? That might be a deal that they want.
Right. Honestly, I'm open-minded, and I think that there's a lot of smart people actually running the Pistons organization. And I'm not going to crush them because I don't believe that this could possibly be true. But somebody help me out. Why would the Pistons want Anthony Davis? Is this the ultimate gamble, but with your life on the line? And I don't mean literally, but if you are wrong on this one, you could undermine this team's chance of developing for years. Help me out. 248-539-9797. It's Karsch and Anderson, 97.1.